Can you trust your very first memory?
Your first memory.
I want you to do something for me. Think of the earliest memory you have. Not just any memory, the earliest one. The one that, when you try to reach for it, feels almost like a dream, blurry at the edges, uncertain. Got one? Now here is what I find extraordinary about that. Somewhere inside your skull, right now, there is a physical structure that holds that memory stored here. A real biological thing, made of protein and electricity and the geometry of neurons connected to other neurons.
Connections strengthened.
That moment, whatever it was, a kitchen, a face, a smell, it isn't gone. It never left.
Still there and
It's in there. And today, we are going to find it.
Memory trace locating.
In our first episode, I showed you why memory is not a video camera, not a recorder.
analogy rejected.
But today I want to go deeper, because that raises a question even more fascinating.
Deeper layers of
If memory isn't a recording, then what exactly is it? Where does it live? How does it get there? And why times this it simply. This is what your memory actually looks like. Not as a metaphor, but as close to biological reality as I can show you.
Connection active.
Every experience you have ever had, every face, every word, none of it stored in one place, woven across your entire brain. Distributed,
Distributed.
interconnected, alive. Signal transmitted, path strengthened. When you experience something, neurons fire together. And when neurons fire together, they wire together. Co-activation detected. This is Hebb's rule, named after the Canadian psychologist Donald Hebb, who proposed it in 1949. Donald Hebb, 1949. Neurons that fire together, wire together. When you later encounter that smell, those same neurons fire again. Now, I want to introduce you to one of the most important structures in your brain. Primary structure loading. It is called the hippocampus. From the Greek hippos, horse, campos, sea monster, the seahorse. It sits deep in your temporal lobe, one on each side, curved and tucked, roughly the size of your little finger. Bilateral structure confirmed. For decades, we didn't fully understand what it did, until one man's tragedy changed neuroscience forever. 1953.
His name was Henry Molaison, in the scientific literature known only as HM 1933. A surgeon removed large portions of his hippocampus on both sides, attempting to cure his severe epilepsy. The surgery worked. His epilepsy was dramatically reduced.
Seizure activity reduced.
But something else happened. Something no one had anticipated. Henry could no longer form new memories. Not a single one.
No new memories.
Hello, Henry. Nice to meet you. Hello, Henry. He could hold a conversation, he could read a newspaper, but the moment any distraction came, the memory simply did not form. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you, Henry. Nice to meet you. He lived in a permanent present, every moment fresh, every moment his last. Henry Molaison died in 2008. He was ADV the most studied individual in the history of neuroscience. He never knew that his tragedy had given the world one of its most profound insights into what it means to be human. The hippocampus duodenate cell, not the storage itself, routing to indexing pattern. Working memory, long-term memory. Your brain has two fundamentally different memory systems. The first is working memory. It is small, it is fast, and it is devastatingly temporary. The average human can hold approximately 7 items in working memory at once. 7. The answer involves sleep, emotion, repetition, and one of the most beautiful processes in all of biology.
You'll see.
Memory consolidation. This is the process by which a fragile, temporary memory becomes a stable, permanent one.
Definition loaded. Fragile to stable. Temporary to permanent.
It happens in 2 stages. The first, synaptic consolidation, within hours of an experience. Stage 1, synaptic consolidation.
Build here.
Anchor here.
Receptor site complete.
This is why the hours immediately after learning something are so critical. If you sleep badly, you interfere with synaptic consolidation. The memory is not yet fixed. But the second stage, systems consolidation, takes months, sometimes years, and it happens primarily while you sleep.
Stage 2, systems consolidation.
Replay. Replay. Transfer. Weave. Weave.
With each replay, the cortical connections strengthen. The memory gradually becomes independent of the hippocampus. It is woven into the fabric of your brain
I
itself.
belong here now.
You don't just consolidate memories while you sleep. You become the person who had those experiences. Not all memories are created equal. Your brain has a prioritization system, and its primary criterion is emotion.
Emotion detected. Priority increased.
There is a structure called the amygdala, 2 almond-shaped clusters sitting right next to the hippocampus. Amygdalae identified. The amygdala is your brain's emotion processor, and it has a direct, powerful connection to the memory-forming systems. Priority channel active. The amygdala fires with a decisive call. Priority. Store this. When you experience something with strong emotion, the amygdala fires intensely. That signal acts like a stamp on the memory. This one matters. Stored for retention. This is called we have several. Memories from moments of intense emotion that feel photographic in their clarity.
A call.
Interestingly, the emotion makes the memory feel more accurate, but research shows flashbulb memories contain just as many errors as ordinary memories. What the emotion does is make the memory more durable, more detailed, more touch, more true, not more true. Now, let us talk about forgetting. You studied for an exam,
I knew this yesterday.
you met someone at a party. What was her name? Forgotten by the following week. Is this a failure of your brain? Is your memory broken? Broken? No, your memory is not broken. It is doing exactly what it evolved to do.
Operating as designed.
If your brain stored every single detail with equal force, every face in every crowd, every sentence, every cup on every table, you would drown in irrelevant data.
Memory is not about preserving everything. It is about selecting what matters.
Too much. Chew.
Forgetting is not a flaw. Forgetting is a feature. Noise reduced, signal preserved. Your brain compresses, it abstracts, it keeps the structure of experience and lets many of the details fall away.
Less detail, same meaning.
The brain strengthens what it uses, and what it does not use, it lets weaken. No traffic, luminous hum.
This is competitive allocation. Attention, rehearsal, emotion, all of them decide which traces survive.
Chosen again, not this time.
Memory is not a storage vault of exact copies. It is a living summary system.
Brain essence.
That is also why memory is reconstructive. Each time you remember, your brain rebuilds, not replays.
Approximation complete.
Every retrieval changes the trace. Every act of remembering is also an act of rewriting. It happened, I remember, I tell it this way now. This process has a name, reconsolidation. When a memory is retrieved, it becomes fragile again and then stored again in a changed form. Open, update, store. Your current state changes what you retrieve and how you reconstruct it. Mood is not just color on top of memory, it changes the architecture of recall.
Sadness.
Fear selects. That is why childhood memories are especially unstable. They are repeatedly rewritten by the person you became later. This is how I understand it now. Memory is not the past preserved. It is the past negotiated between biology, emotion, and meaning. Experience. Retrieve, rewrite, repeat. And once you understand that, you can understand something even stranger. The brain can build memories of events that never happened.
Added, suggested, accepted. Hey.
You were in the park, feeling lost. Maybe
Under the right conditions, suggestion, repetition, trust, people can form detailed memories of events that never occurred.
Yes, I remember.
Confidence is not a reliable marker of truth. A person can be completely sincere and completely wrong.
confidence high, verification absent.
Memory is social. Other people's stories can enter your own. Repetition can feel like evidence. Familiarity can feel like truth. But do not misunderstand me. This does not make memory useless. It makes memory human.
Human.
So if memory is selective, emotional, reconstructive, and deeply human, how do we actually make it stronger?
Come further.
Spacing works because each return is effortful. And effort, when it is successful, strengthens memory.
I'm taking hold.
If you want stronger memory, you do not begin with repetition. You begin with attention. Attention required. What you do not attend to is barely encoded. What you truly notice has a chance to become memory.
Selected. Missed.
Multitasking is one of the great myths of modern cognition. Attention split is memory weakened. Look here, no, here. Memory begins the moment noise is excluded. Focus is not just helpful, focus is the gate.
Only this.
Attention is metabolic investment. Your brain spends energy where it predicts value.
Resources allocated.
And attention is captured by one thing above all, novelty, the unusual, the unexpected.
The pattern break.
Your brain is a prediction machine. It pays special attention when its predictions fail. Prediction error. That is why novelty is memorable. Surprise tells the brain, update the model.
Model updated.
If you want to remember something, do not make it flatter. Make it stranger, make it vivid, make it meaningful. Now I have somewhere to live.
The second principle is association. New memories survive best when they attach to something already there, linked. An isolated fact is fragile. A connected fact becomes part of a system. Where do I go? Here. Association is how the brain economizes. It does not want thousands of separate islands, it wants networks. Network expanded.
This is why metaphor works. It ties the unknown to the known. Bridge established. And the brain remembers bridges better than isolated points.
Want to remember a person's name? Do not repeat the name alone. Attach it to their face, their voice, the place, the feeling of the moment. Now I am easier to find. This principle is ancient. The memory palace works because it uses association, space, and imagery all at once. I'm on the stair, I'm by the lamp, I'm at the window. The stranger the image, the more likely your attention locks. And once attention locks, association can hold.
Hard to ignore.
The stranger the image, the more likely your attention locks. And once attention locks, association can hold. Hard to ignore. The third principle is spacing. The brain learns better across intervals than through uninterrupted repetition. Not now, later, then again. See? Each spaced repetition strengthens the trace. Cramming creates familiarity. Spacing creates durability. Too much too fast. Returning stronger. So here is the architecture of stronger memory. Notice deeply, connect richly, return strategically, encoded well. But encoding is only half the story. Memory is also strengthened by retrieval. Call us back. Looking at information again feels productive, but forcing yourself to pull it back out, that is what truly trains the system.
Seen again.
A successful retrieval is not just proof that you know something, it is an event that makes the pathway easier to use again. I'm back. Think of retrieval like walking a trail through a forest. The more often you successfully walk it, the clearer that trail becomes.
And gain clear, gain clear, gain.
And this is important. Difficulty is not the enemy. Some effort is good. Struggle can mean the system is being trained.
Almost there. Got it.
This is why testing is so powerful. Not because it measures memory, but because it builds it. Recovered. Rereading creates recognition. Retrieval creates access.
I look familiar. I can be reached.
A flashcard works only if there is a pause, a real attempt. The mind must reach before the answer appears. Find me first. If the answer comes instantly, good. If it takes a few seconds of searching, even better. That's just part of the search, yes. Questions, self-quizzing, blank page recall. These are not study decorations, they are memory construction tools. Search, rebuild. One of the most powerful things you can do is close the book and rebuild the idea from memory, from scratch.
Build me.
Each piece connects, forming a stronger whole. The blank spaces are not a problem. They are the map. They show you exactly where the memory trace is weak.
Work needed here.
This is how improvement actually works. You expose the weakness, you target it, you return to it strategically, seen clearly. Connected, returned. Memory grows best under challenge, but not panic. Difficulty helps, humiliation does not.
I can't. Wait, now I can.
The optimal zone is effort without collapse. Enough challenge to force retrieval. Not so much that the system shuts down. Hard, but possible. Too much. Good learning feels slightly effortful. Not smooth, not effortless, slightly effortful. Optimal challenge. This is why short, repeated sessions beat marathon sessions. The brain prefers pulses of effort over one long flood. Return, rest, return, rest. Variation helps too. When you mix related material, the brain must discriminate, select, and retrieve more precisely.
Different, compare, choose.
Feeling that something is familiar is not the same as being able to use it tomorrow. Fluency can be an illusion.
You know me.
Prove it.
And now we reach the deepest layer of all. Memory is not only how you learn, it is how you become someone.
Come closer.
At the deepest level, memory is not just information storage. It is autobiographical architecture. Your mind does not simply keep memories. It arranges them into a story about who you are.
This happened,
And then this.
and then this.
This is autobiographical memory. Not just what you learned, but what you lived, what mattered, what became part of you.
I changed you.
We do not remember life as a perfect chronology. We remember it as a pattern of meaning. This is why narrative is powerful. A memory connected to a story is easier to keep, easier to retrieve, and harder to lose. I have structure. The brain does not only ask, what happened? It also asks, what does this mean for the story of me? Memory is the material from which the self is continuously reconstructed.
This is who you became.
What you call personality is not separate from memory. It is shaped by remembered experience, including experience you no longer consciously recall.
Remembered, embedded, expressed.
Even when a memory is no longer accessible as a scene, its emotional residue may still guide your choices. In that sense, memory is not just something you have, it is something you inhabit.
You live inside me.
And this is why memory loss is never just loss of information. It can become a loss of continuity. Connection unstable. When memory disorders appear, the person may still have many facts, many skills, many feelings, but the thread between them can weaken.
Can you still reach me?
A person can retain habits, language patterns, familiar motions, and still struggle with the autobiographical map that says, "This is my life." The self is not one thing, it is layered, and memory holds those layers together.
I can do. I remember.
To remember is, in a very real sense, to continue. That first blurry memory you reached for at the beginning of this journey, it matters not because it is perfect, but because it is one of the earliest threads in the story of you. It may be incomplete, it may be reconstructed, parts of it may even be wrong, but it still reveals something real, where your mind began building its world.
Light, first world, and
Memory is biological, emotional, selective, reconstructive, social, practical, and deeply personal. It is how the brain learns from the world, how it chooses what to keep, how it protects, how it changes you. Learn, keep, and perhaps that is the deepest truth of all. Memory is not a museum of the past. It is the mechanism by which the past remains alive inside the present. Next week, we go inside the world of dreams.
dreams.
Why you dream, what your brain is actually doing during those hours, and why some people can take control of their dreams.
Active.
Controllable. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the lab. See you in the lab.
Axon.
Next chapter. Home.
It's all in there.
Until next week.
Follow the
the signal.
Hebb's rule is sometimes simplified as neurons that fire together wire together. The connection strengthens only when the two neurons fire in close temporal proximity. Temporal match detected. The synapse is not just a passive connection. It is an active, modifiable structure. It has receptors that can be added or removed, channels that can be widened or narrowed. It is constantly adapting to the patterns of use. This is what we mean when we say the brain is plastic, not rigid, not fixed, but endlessly remodeling itself in response to experience. Every thought you think, every skill you practice, The London taxi driver study showed this beautifully. Cab drivers in London must memorize every street in a city of millions of roads, a process that takes years, expanded through use. You are not born with a fixed brain. You build it. With every choice about what to experience, what to practice, what to remember, the architecture of your mind is in significant part of your own making. Let me say something more about forgetting that I find genuinely beautiful. The Ebbinghaus curve shows us the default, what happens without intervention. But the forgetting curve is different for different types of material. Emotional content fades more slowly. Meaningful information fades more slowly. Procedural knowledge barely fades at all. Your brain has made continuous judgments about then acting on hold steady, let go, and there is evidence that some forgetting is active. The brain actively suppresses certain memories, particularly painful or interfering ones. This is called retrieval-induced forgetting.
Chosen.
The relationship between sleep and memory goes deeper than consolidation. Different stages of sleep serve different memory functions. Slow-wave memory consolidation stages, or hippocampus for in progress. REM sleep is where procedural and emotional memory processing is most active. The amygdala is highly engaged. This is why dreams have an emotional quality, and why REM deprivation impairs emotional memory. Here is something remarkable about memory retrieval. Context matters enormously. Memory is state-dependent in context. Information learned in this environment is better recalled in that same environment. There was a famous experiment in which scuba divers learned a list of words underwater. When tested underwater, they recalled significantly more than when tested on land.
Matched.
This is why walking back to where you had a thought and suddenly remembering it is not a coincidence. The spatial context is a retrieval cue. You came back for me. Exactly. I want to say a little more about false memories because the implications for how we live together as society are that Taurus men live that cholas them be as to be destroyed. In one study, participants were given some true childhood memories and this one false one, presented with equal confidence.
Maybe
Over subsequent interviews, many not only accepted it, they elaborated it. The implication is that confidence is not reliability. The implication is that kvartines nachhermanitik is is naus. The only reliable test is external corroboration. Check the evidence. There is one type of memory I haven't mentioned that affects you every single day. It is called prospective memory, the memory for future intentions.
Later.
Remembering to remember.
Later.
Every time you form the intention to do something later, take a medication, call someone, pick up an item on the way home, you are relying on prospective memory. And it is surprisingly fragile. It depends on the right cue at the right moment, and it fails all the time. The most effective strategy for prospective memory is implementation intention, specifying not just what you intend to do, but when and where. I will remind you will do it. Finally, autographical memory, the full integrated narrative of your life. This is not just episodic memory, it is the edited, curated, story-shaped account of who you have been and how you came to be who you are. Researchers have found that autobiographical memory is characterized by the reminiscence bump. A disproportionate number of our most vivid memories come from between ages 15 and 25. Our autobiographical memories are organized around self-images. We remember events consistent with our sense of self. Our memory is whisperingly, I fit this way. I want to say something I believe that goes beyond the data. Memory is not just a cognitive system. It is the medium through which we exist in time. Every culture has developed systems for preserving memory.
Art.
Ritual, oral tradition, writing, because we know humans.
Art.
Ritual.
and so the imperfection of memory.
Before I let you go, let me give you the memory palace in 1 minute. Choose a place you know well. I'll use this lab. Walk through it mentally. At the door, a giant pink elephant reading a skeleton. On my desk, a volcano erupting in maple syrup.
First cheers!
Now, what were those 3 items? Walk back through lab. Door, pink elephant with a newspaper. Chair, dancing skeleton. Desk, maple syrup, volcano. You have them. You will probably still have them tomorrow. The stranger the image, the longer it lasts. The more specific the location, the better the retrieval. And with practice, you can have as many stations as you like. Hundreds, thousands. The palace can be as large as your imagination. Your memory is extraordinary.
It is imperfect. It is also the most intimate thing you possess. It is the tissue of your inner life. Treat it with the curiosity it deserves. Use the memory palace. Practice retrieval, sleep well, and be gentle with your own past. It is being reconstructed every Talit. Handle gently.
And the next time you try to remember something and it's gone, don't be frustrated. Your brain made a calculation. It decided that memory wasn't worth the space. Maybe it was right, maybe it wasn't. But either way, it was doing its job, keeping you functional, keeping you free to encounter the next moment without being crushed by every previous one.
Forward.
That, to me, is an act of care. Your brain looking after you, as it has always done, as it will continue to do every moment, every night, without needing to be asked. Go find that earliest memory again. Look at it differently now. You know more about it than you did 20 minutes ago.
Look again.
It isn't perfect. It isn't what really happened exactly, but it is yours. Built from the material of your life, shaped by everything you have become since.
Yours.
And it is magnificent. Next week, the architecture of dreams. Subscribe if you want to know what happens in your mind between now and morning.
Between now and morning.
I'll see you in the lab.
In the